Well, it's finally here. After years of eager anticipation, the World Cup is back in America. And good lord, it's probably gonna suck. Especially if you're an American. Ticket prices are out of reach for most, and let's be honest, most Yanks like yourself are not attuned to the beautiful game. You're either a casual sports person who maybe goes a couple times a year or a hardcore sicko of another sport, and want to know about US soccer because you keep hearing about this guy named Messi or something. This is where I come in. I'm going to give you the necessary introduction to not just the sport in the US, but also rant about it like the hater I am. So instead of watching our beloved Yanks play for prices that they are not worth, honestly, no national team is worth what's being offered, I have another proposal. You see, US soccer is not just the men's and women's national teams in MLS. There is an entire pyramid of leagues that are far more affordable and fun than whatever trash is going on at Arrowhead or in New Jersey. But what is this pyramid, you ask? It's actually pretty simple. The pyramid is similar to our division system in college sports. In the other parts of the world, these divisions are typically interconnected with spots for automatic promotion and relegation in between them. So it would technically be possible for a Division 4 team to potentially win their way to Division 1. US does not have that on the professional side for a list of reasons that typically pisses off Europeans and the American Sims who drink their bathwater, but the rules kind of make sense. The most important thing to know now is that there are 3 divisions that house 4 professional leagues. In Division 1, there is only Major League Soccer, who I am not going to talk about much in this video as they are not playing any games right now during the World Cup. I'll have a video ready all about them closer to when their break ends and the games start to kick back up. The divisions in the leagues below them, though, they're playing. From Division 2 and 3, we have 3 leagues that provide very affordable tickets, more reasonable merch and concession prices, albeit still overpriced, plus a local community that your lonely TikTok-addicted ass needs more of. If you're a casual, the affordable prices and local fun should be more than enough to try out a game or two. Enjoy it like minor league baseball or hockey or a local college sports team. If you are a sicko, the off-field drama's about as sticky and gooey as a giant chocolate chip cookie from Costco. All these leagues are unique with crazy stories to share that'll tug at your heartstrings in more ways than one. There are heroes, villains, and whatever the hell MLS Next Pro is. And yes, there's also amateur soccer, which is even more localized and grassroots driven, but due to there being so many teams, they might not even exist anymore. I'm not touching it. I also feel that a hater's guide about that would be punching down on people who are just playing for fun. And I don't want to do that. The 70 or so teams that I'm talking about play professionally, and are easier to research and support because they have something called a marketing budget. Even though for most of them, their war chests are full of Monopoly money. Even then, most of these teams don't know how to spend it. So as an effort to try and help grow the beautiful game in a nation that always flipped the bird back to what was once seen as a form of British colonialism infesting our precious youth, but now is seen as a South American game imperialized by deep European pockets, let's talk about US soccer. Within the professional side of the game, there are 2 organizations that you need to know about. Major League Soccer, aka MLS, and United Soccer League, aka USL. USL has a bigger presence in the lower divisions of our pyramid, focusing on creating teams in small to mid-sized communities that normally don't have a professional sports team of any sort, usually to varying degrees of success. MLS is, to put it simply, where the big cities and big teams play. Their presence in the lower divisions cater to their reserve teams as they play alongside small market independent clubs that are either building a history or actually play a deeper role in making soccer grow here. Also, none of these leagues at the moment have any form of automatic promotion and relegation. Doesn't mean that promotion and relegation don't happen. And when it does happen, the situation is pretty much treated the same. Promotion is celebrated, relegation is best treated with ibuprofen. Now, USL is planning on implementing an automatic pro-rel system sometime, but we'll talk more about that later. Division 3 as a whole is so low on the totem pole though, the quality play isn't that great. It's comparable to England's 6th tier, National League North and South. But you're not watching Division 3 because the soccer is good. You're watching because the atmosphere is fun, the local team is playing, and Schadenfreude is fractal. Division 3 will have a lot of quirks, usually consisting of a soccer game being played in a baseball stadium or at a local high school or college. Professional permanent stadiums this far down are really hard to come by, and anything that is club-owned will likely be a modular stadium, the ones that look cheap and feel cheap. These are going to be seen as the cream of the crop for Division 3 clubs. Plus, players this far down are not that different from the amateur players in terms of talent, or even the reserve players in MLS. Now, look, just because they are not the best players, it does not mean they lack talent. And to be honest, they are closer to Messi in terms of ability and skill than you are to them. But in this situation, they're getting paid to play, sometimes for the first time ever. Now, here's a note. With each league, I will be sharing 3 specific groups. First is teams to look at, which will consist of a club that best showcases what the league currently represents and is trying to promote. Second will be the teams that have potential to be strong standard bearers. The third group will be clubs that you should hate watch. Now, it could be for geographic reasons, it could be just because they're so good on the field, or because someone in the organization reminds you of that crazy relative you do your best to stay away from. But there is nothing more American than watching a team you cannot stand and root for their demise. And in the first league we're looking at, USL 1, there's plenty of each. The best team to look at here is one that embodies the grassroots community that USL currently wants to propagate. They sell out their stadium of 7,000 every game and play in a city that has no other professional team. Hold on a second, I'm sorry. I meant state. That team is Portland, Maine's Hearts of Pine. While their on-the-field performance has not been the best, as of writing this, they're currently sitting in the middle of the league. They have everything that makes the USL shake, baby. Highest attendances of Division III? Check. Playing in a stadium that doesn't host baseball? Check. Merch sales that rival Division II clubs? Check. A marketing plan that focuses on the people who make Maine beautiful? Oh my God. Nearly everything that the Hops touch turns into sweet, buttery lobster. Financially, they're one of the best in League One, which is notorious for being a money pit. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they move up to Division II sometime, but it won't be because of their playing, though. Other teams are following this model to varying degrees of success. The ones that seem to have succeeded the most, though, out of the gate is Boise, who I say is my USL 1 team with potential. If things keep going at the rate they are, I can genuinely see them becoming big for USL. Now, Boise is also only known for their college teams, so the opportunity to show that they can support a professional club so far has been a resounding success. But not every team follows this playbook. Some are just big, bad guys. Perfect for hate watching. And this team I'm talking about is so evil and mean that the city that they took their name from won't even let them play there. They are known as the Chattanooga Red Wolves. And everything that Hearts of Pine does, the Red Wolves don't. The city of Chattanooga doesn't like them, as they tried to smother, poach, and kill the local amateur team that brought tens of thousands to games and built its reputation on a model that is now imitated by USL.
The community doesn't like them either, so they currently play in Eastridge, a suburb.
Originally, USL wanted the amateur team, known as Chattanooga FC and nicknamed the Azules. But once they said no, USL wanted them dead. And this started a war between a city with their built-from-the-ground-up club and a real estate mogul from Utah. The Red Wolves are the perfect team to hate. But they're also the perfect team for haters to love. Their players have embraced being the bad guys, getting the one over on those sweet, innocent Azules in the Open Cup tournament. They even tried to plant a flag at their stadium, too. That's something that the state of Ohio wanted to be called a felony. Some of the fans have also embraced being bad widow wolvies. Just go to Reddit and look for yourself. The organization, however, has been pretty milquetoast. Honestly, the organization hasn't done much to talk about. Their marketing is pretty much non-existent, and fans are few and far in between. And while the team's owner, Bob Martino, has deep pockets, the team resides in a kiddie pool. They play in a half-finished stadium that will someday, maybe, seat about 5,000, right next to a nearly decade-old gravel pit that is supposed to be a new residential area with housing, facilities, and a restaurant. The fans, though, once the game gets going, are fun to be around and make the best of their situation. If anything, go because you want to hang out with them. They're fun. Although good luck getting merch if you don't go to the games. Their online shop has been undergoing maintenance for a while, and by the look of their track record, I don't think that's changing anytime soon. Now, this doesn't just end with a few teams. I have some honorable mentions to give out as well. Fort Wayne is another community rich with minor league sports, but has had no true professional team. They're enjoying their first year in professional soccer, and the Summit City is excited to have it. They're also nearing completion of a new stadium, one that started and will probably be completed before the one in Eastridge. Other teams that exist in similar situations are Omaha, Knoxville, and Greenville. League One is also home to the New York Cosmos, another young team that has potential to grow into something good, although sadly Pele is no longer available. But as there are very few revenue streams this far down, nearly all of these teams are kept afloat by owners in their deep pockets, as ticket sales are also minuscule and sponsorship money only goes so far. So it won't be a surprise if teams either suspend play or just die. This actually happened before the season started. South Georgia Tormenta, a club near the Savannah area, suspended operations due to finances. So the best time to support one of these clubs is today, because they might close up shop tomorrow. Now, the other Division III league is called MLS Next Pro, which is the most annoying league name in American soccer, as it sounds like an Apple product, and all Apple products are annoying. If you're a fan of baseball, this league will feel very familiar, as all but 3 teams are reserve squads for MLS clubs. These 3 outliers are independent teams who joined to play more reliable competition, or in the case of Chattanooga FC, those sweet precious Azules, joined MLS Next Pro because USL tried to kill them. Speaking of the Azules, they're actually very important to the history of US soccer, and to the growth of the game in the southern US. Chattanooga, a small city almost halfway between Atlanta and Nashville, set average and single-game attendance records in the amateur world, bringing tens of thousands to games at a stadium that is sold. It still has piss troughs. Honestly, it's a little tough to root against those sweet little Azules when you share the story of their survival, but if you want to hate them because their supporters have the gall to chant about how the opposing goalkeeper looks like a tennis ball. Inhumane. In the world of MLS Next Pro Max, the other teams, specifically MLS 2 teams, don't get the same numbers that Chattanooga gets. The other indie clubs, like Carolina Core, who play at an independent baseball stadium, surprisingly get good numbers. The third indie team, Connecticut United, is currently barnstorming around the state until their stadium is finished, playing at various universities, and while their numbers are not reported, it does look like they're getting at least a couple thousand a game. But here's the situation. The team with the best known average attendance is an MLS affiliate that has their own unique identity and plays in Huntsville, Alabama. They're cleverly known as Huntsville City SC. They are the other team you should give a look at in MLS Next Pro Max Ultra. The team is run by Nashville Soccer Club, but the city of Huntsville has embraced them fully, bringing in numbers that other reserves teams cannot match, at least on a consistent basis. MLS 2 clubs like St. Louis City 2 have broken attendance records, with 12,000 people attending a single game in 2024. And even the MLS Next Pro Max Ultra Extra Cheese Championship had Red Bull New York 2 play Colorado Rapids 2 in front of almost 10,000 people. So there are fans who like to watch the second stringers play. Huntsville is a team to look at because MLS plans on using this strategy to build up the league, and signed a deal with a private equity firm to operate the MLS 2 teams, with plans to put them in the unique communities and get local stadiums made for them. But there's a catch, especially when you get money coming in from private equity who will demand not just quick returns, but are also notorious for sucking as much bone marrow out of things that they can. We'll see if it leads to any success. There are also more independent clubs potentially joining in 2027, playing in cities like Grand Rapids, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, San Francisco, and Long Island for some reason, who also has the stupidest name in US soccer I've ever heard. The Island FC. Honestly, they're worth hate watching just for that.
I mean, who the hell came up with that name? Colin Jost?
But as far as teams that have potential here, look at the unique ones, the independent ones, and ignore the MLS 2 teams too lazy to be creative. Don't even hate watch them. Watch their first teams instead. Now, that is Division 3, which is surprisingly not where teams go to die a financial collapse. That belongs to Division 2, and most specifically the USL Championship. Division 3 and 2 have other differences aside from the quality of play, with Division 2 being more comparable to England's 5th tier, which is the National League, and maybe the middle of the 4th tier, which is EFL League 2. Contracts are also a bit more serious in the championship, with players receiving decently better wages, albeit not as great as MLS reserve players in Division 3. Plus, due to USL stuff that nobody else does in America, such as a lack of revenue sharing and splitting of expansion fees, teams have no safety net, and are very likely to just collapse. Although one could argue that the revenue sharing at this far down with USL is so small that revenue sharing would just be worthless. And fair point. But enough of the HQ politics. What are some of the USL Championship standard bearers? Well, I have 3 teams right now that are providing success on and off the field. They are the Tampa Bay Rowdies, San Antonio,
Them churros good.
and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who are the defending champions. Now, the Riverhounds are not having a great start to the season, but the Yinzers are showing up anyway. Due to them being in the Steel City, and therefore affiliated by proxy with the Devil's favorite sports teams, they also make a great candidate for hate watching as well, especially if you're from the Midwest. San Antonio is also a unique market as it only has the Spurs as a major professional team. The soccer team seems to have built up a following in the city and is also leading the Western Conference. The Tampa Bay Rowdies are a small team in a big city. They, like the Red Wolves, don't reside in their namesake, as the Rowdies call St. Petersburg their home. Their stadium is also very unique. Originally, it was a baseball stadium that hosted spring training games for the likes of the Yankees, Orioles, and the Rays. And even with the small capacity and makeshift layout, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if the Rowdies got more people than the Rays do during the playoffs. Overall, these are all good teams with strong on-field and off-field presences. Honorable mentions here are Louisville, which is pronounced Loserville, and the Charleston Battery, who are one of the oldest non-MLS teams still playing. 33 years and growing, too. Last year, they posted some of their highest average attendance numbers, nearing their record of 4,000. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but when you're this far down, those are actually pretty good numbers. And then potential teams to keep an eye on in the championship are Rhode Island and Tulsa. Both are communities that lack professional sports and are also playing very well this season. I don't know if either will be in a race for the title, but both should be proud of the support given from their respective areas. Now, who to hate watch? I think it's pretty easy. Sacramento Republic and Detroit City. USL resident grade AA a-holes. Now, they are notorious for having the most annoying fans in the league. I can confidently say that they are more annoying than the fans who root for Messi, and Los Plasticos are very annoying. But their poison ivy-like irritation does not stem from them wanting to stir the pot, no. It stems from one single entity, MLS. Sacramento was a potential bid for an MLS franchise, but that's been put on an indefinite hiatus. Detroit City, on the other hand, had their existence threatened by a potential MLS expansion that wilted out. You will see dregs of the hate that they have for the league on USL subreddit. They're usually the ones to call MLS a Ponzi scheme, to mock the closed league structure, and sing the praises of promotion and relegation like they're Euro snobs. Now, their anger toward MLS, Commissioner and feudal lord Don Garber, and the fans who defend everything the league does are in many ways somewhat justified. MLS stands are annoying, yes, as annoying as Los Plasticos. At the same time, you don't have to be a dick about it. Another team to hate watch? Brooklyn FC. The baseball stadium they play at keeps its foul net up for broadcasts, and the hard cam they set up for games has it right in your face. It's so annoying, their mediocre play is more likely an answered prayer. Also, another team to hate watch. It's not because they're evil per se, even though they reside in one of the most godless cities in one of the most godless states in the Union, but it's because nobody watches them. And hate watching them would be an act of empathy. I'm talking about Miami FC. No, not that Miami. This one's existed longer than the one with Beckham and Messi. But even then, no one cares. I mean, just look for yourself.
The playoffs. Dunbridge outside to Romero. Romero with the crossing attempt. Oh, a beautiful strike. There's Locadia.
Hate watch them because nobody watches them anyway. And they could use the support. And that is all for Division 2. But we are not finished discussing USL. In 2028, the league plans on creating a Division 1 group, at the moment called USL Premier. Very creative. They are also planning on starting promotion and relegation, and with the negotiations with the Players Association coming to a verbal agreement, it seems that this is going to come along somewhat on schedule. I do think that a D1 league by 2028 is a bit of a stretch, as stadiums need to meet a minimum of 15,000 seats, alongside certain monetary requirements from ownership that I have no idea if most of the teams in the championship even meet for Division 2. A lot of these stadiums they're building are modular ones. So while they will not look as nice as the ones in MLS, they are technically faster to build and cheaper as well. The trade-off, though, is that you're going to see a lot of scaffolding and bleacher seats, which for some people makes them wonder how much money was actually put into building them. I don't personally see the issue, but some people do. Another thing about the Division 1 push is that USSF, our governing body, gives out waivers like candy, and with the same intention for why FIFA awards peace prizes, to keep up appearances. In this case, the appearance of a robust pyramid. USL is not exempt from receiving multiple waivers to keep its Division 2 classification, and there is a chance that USL will get waivers for Division 1 as well. This keeping up appearances is, in my opinion, the same reason why England even still has a pyramid, although their second division, also laughably named the Championship, is left more in a form of torture that would make Harlan Ellison want to scream. I'm actually making a deep dive about England's pyramid, and it really cemented my disdain for automatic promotion and relegation. It's also going to be the longest video I've ever made, and should be available soon. Make sure to stay subscribed and notified. Now, as I just mentioned, I don't care for promotion or relegation. And to be honest, I don't think many Americans care either. Yeah, Euro snobs in the US say this is a reason why they don't watch. But how many more people are going to watch USL because their favorite team has a chance to go down to Division 3? But it's merit-based, you hear them say. No, it's not. It never was. The Football League created the system of ups and downs because it was more financially profitable at the time. Kick out the worthless teams, elect the shiny new ones from a worthless league with double the attendance numbers. It was always about money. And this is also why USL is doing what they're doing. They think this will bring in sponsors, broadcasters, investors, new expansion opportunities, and I don't think it will. Creating a first division has a better chance of getting USL more money than promotion relegation does. But even that's a huge gamble. Why? Well, USL already has a Division 1 league in the women's game that competes with the National Women's Soccer League. And nobody watches them, which sucks. I guarantee you most soccer fans don't even know it exists. It's because this is a league that needs better marketing and advertising, way more than it needs promotion and relegation. And even if it does work, does it really change anything? Are ratings really going to improve because the two worst teams are fighting against the last place and relegation spot? Unless one of them is Tottenham. I just don't see it. The biggest reason I think people say they want promotion and relegation is because they want a chance to prove that American soccer deserves to belong and compete. Smaller clubs and their sickos are always the ones that you hear saying that we need this in order to prove ourselves. I'm just going to reply with this. You already proved you belong when you bought tickets and took to the stands. You also proved yourself when you started cheering, chanting, yelling, singing. Build up what you got. You already got something special here, and it'll prove to be 1,000 times better than whatever some Eurosnob says on Reddit. Even if you did everything they wanted, they more than likely will still not watch. And this is why the lower leagues are super important in my eyes. This is going to be where the game is won and lost, not with the national teams in the World Cup. You really want to see this game get better and grow? Support it. Be a casual fan and enjoy the atmosphere and cheap tickets. Be a sicko and join in on the songs and bang on the drums and complain about the jerseys being too expensive and your majority owner being a creep. Unless your team is fan-owned, and it's just a bunch of sickos. Both are needed. In the end, money is what's going to talk. And being a fan and supporter of your local soccer team will have your dollars stretch far more than you will realize. And in the end, it also helps the national team by helping build up the necessary infrastructure we will need if we are to compete against Brazil, Argentina, and France. Those might be out of reach now, but it was even more out of reach just 30 years ago. Plus, building up the infrastructure allows for the game to be more accessible. Soccer in America is suffering the same issues that baseball is soaking itself in, where you have predatory old men lying to middle-class suburbanite parents that their child has potential for a Division I scholarship. Therefore, they must join the private traveling league that goes all over the U.S., all on their parents' dime as well. If it didn't cost as much as a semester at a private school, you would probably hear less barking from me, but at this age, the game should just be for fun. The idea that an 8 or 9-year-old would show Messi-like skills would be such a funny joke if it weren't so manipulative. Nearly every kid that plays today will never get paid to in the future. It shouldn't cost so much to play a game that is intentionally cheap, equipment-wise. Save the pretentious equipment costs for sports like hockey, tennis, and bowling. Also, side note, the suburbs are a hellscape only good for one thing, being the place where fun goes to die a gruesome death at the hands of Mr. HOA and Miss NIMBY. Apparently they both run the travel league too. Now, after all this, you're probably thinking, well, you spent all this time talking about the lower leagues, why haven't you talked about MLS yet? Well, with MLS, there's a lot to talk about. There's 30 teams, and each one deserves their own little bit, and there's also the league itself and the chaos they cause. But that's for another video. See ya.